These birria tacos are the best thing I've put in my mouth in a while and better than any takeout taco I've gotten. So let's make them together. I started off by cutting up my chuck roast into 4 equal pieces, seasoning them with salt, and then searing them off in my Dutch oven. Once they were done, I pulled them out and then chopped up some tomato, onion, put that in my pot alongside some garlic, tomato paste, and my 3 types of chilies that I de-seeded before putting in the pot. Put those in, cover that with some water, and let it simmer until the chilies were soft. Then I transferred that over to a blender, blended it all up until it was smooth, and added that back to the pot with the meat, some stock, some spices. I made sure to not forget the cinnamon. And then I put a lid on that and let it go for 3 to 4 hours until it was all tender. I obviously had to taste test along the way because it smelled so good. Once my meat was fall apart tender, I shredded it all up and then cut up some onion and cilantro. And then it was time to assemble. I grabbed my corn tortillas, dipped them in that consomme, put them in the pan with some Oaxaca cheese, but you can also use mozzarella, that shredded beef, some onion and cilantro. And once they were ready to eat, I dipped them in that consomme, and oh my gosh, guys, this was so good. Here are some things that I meal prepped to make my week a little easier. I had some ripe bananas that needed to be used, so the only right way to use them is making banana bread. This is a 1-bowl, super simple recipe, and it comes out perfectly moist every single time. I usually add some chocolate chips to it, but I didn't this time to make it a little bit more versatile. Then I got started on some whipped rooibos honey butter. This is so good on the banana bread, but even other things. So I added my rooibos to the melted butter and some honey and whipped it over ice until it got super creamy. Then I put it all in a little glass jar and put that away in the fridge. I've been loving carrot salads, so I decided to make a rainbow carrot salad because it stores really well and it can be put on anything. So I add some oil, vinegar, lemon, honey, some spices, cilantro, and I usually put this on toast with some cream cheese or even just on its own. It works in a lot of different ways. You guys know what time it is as soon as you guys see me pull out those purple onions. We're pickling onions today. I slice them up really thin and then dissolve my sugar with some vinegar, salt, and water. Then I put all of that in a mason jar, add some peppercorn to it, and put it away to rest. Today I decided to switch up my blueberry sauce to raspberry sauce. So I added my frozen raspberries to a pot with some coconut sugar and lemon. Let that reduce until it got to the thickness I wanted it to get. This is so good when it's warmed up on some vanilla ice cream. Last but not least, I wanted to just make a batch of chicken noodle soup. It comes in so handy, so I diced up all of my vegetables and then added them to the pot with some ginger, a lot of garlic, and a sprinkle of turmeric. And half of this batch I popped in the freezer to thaw whenever. Before I went to bed, I got hit with an insane craving for lahmacun, so I decided to make it myself the next day. I started off by making the dough with some water, yeast, flour, sugar, and salt. Gave that a good mix, kneaded that for a few minutes, and then set it aside to rest. While my dough was resting, I made my meat topping. I sliced up some red bell peppers, some chili. These were really mild, and then also some tomato, onion. I gave everything a really rough chop because it was going in the food processor. Then I pulsed all of my ingredients and drained as much liquid out as I could. Once that was done, I added it to a bowl with some ground beef, spices such as cumin, chili, paprika, and also some tomato paste and salt. I decided to finally chop up some parsley and garlic as well, add that, and gave it a really good mix. Then I portioned out my dough and rolled it out really thin. Made sure to heat a baking tray in the oven and flip it upside down. Put my dough on top with the meat filling and put that in the oven. While that was going, I chopped up all of my toppings, which was salad, tomato, and some sumac onions. Also, don't forget your fresh parsley and lemon. This was insanely